Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Quick introduction. My name is Vicky. I go to Unionville High School. I'll be in grade 11 this coming start of the school year, September. I'm going to share a time when I made a choice in my life. So to start, I grew up in a non-Christian family, and I had really typical Asian parents, and I was raised where education and good grades pretty much meant everything to me. And I pretty much lived life that way pretty much until grade 4. So what happened in grade 4 that year was my parents went to get their report from their checkup, like annual checkup. And when mom came home, she told us something. Now, I think I was too young still to really understand and feel the weight of what she told us. But basically what she said was that the doctor found a small mass in her lung. Now, to me, I didn't really know what that would mean. And the doctors clearly told her that they wouldn't know if the mass would maybe just go away by itself, or maybe it could develop into something bad, for example, like cancer or something. But no matter what it was, for our family, nothing like this has ever happened. So pretty much for my mom, emotionally, she's hit rock bottom, like the lowest point. And now that I think back, under God's perfect timing and grace, our family doctor was also Christian. And he brought us to church, our whole family, and I still remember clearly the first day when I walked in. Everyone treated as if we were family and as if they knew each other for the longest time. Although we didn't know anyone and no one knew us, everyone welcomed us really nicely and really warmly, and they showed a lot of love to us. And they didn't ask for excuses. They didn't need to know what our background was or where we were coming from. They just approached us, said hi to us, and prayed for my mom and gave her a lot of encouragement. And for me, it was really, church was like another place where I made friends and could just be who I was without putting up a front. But for my mom, it was where she found peace, no matter what she was going through. And it was just this love and this warmth, of God's love that kept on bringing us back week after week, every Sunday. And, as me and my sister attended Sunday school and my mom stayed for Sunday service and Sunday sermon, to us in the beginning, it was really just story after story and lesson after lesson. Like, for example, God created the world, day and night, the first man and first woman. And, he sent prophets to prophesize before things would even happen. And, in the end, he sent his son to die for us, right, on the cross, to repair a relationship with him. But nothing really hit me or clicked with me until when I hit grade 7. So between grade 4 and 7, in those 3 years, I witnessed a lot of change and how, God's love and grace is so amazing and so wonderful. So what happened was, growing up, my parents weren't the most patient out there. Sometimes they were quick to judge, and without even asking us what the situation was, they would maybe just go ahead and give us a punishment, and they weren't as understanding. But, in a short few years, their character completely flipped around, and they became a lot more patient, a lot more understanding, and instead of just coming and jumping to conclusions, they really took the time to talk with us and try to communicate with us and solve the problem without getting into fight right off the bat. And to witness that, the change from the heart and character, it really amazed both my sister and myself. And that's pretty much what clicked for me in grade 7 when I realized that this is God's love. This is what God did for us. He sent his son to die for us on the cross. And that love is just so amazing. It's so powerful that can change someone even from the heart. And I think my walk with God hasn't been smooth sailing all the way, but it definitely hasn't been the worst. But I've had my fair shares of ups and downs. And I guess one of those moments was when I met a guy in elementary school, and his name was Oliver. So basically, he's kind of like me. He grew up in a typical Asian family where grades meant success, grades meant respect and acknowledgement. And that's where he found his worth, and that's what he valued. And I didn't think much about it in grade school or elementary school, but he made sure that everyone knew that he got 5% higher than the person sitting beside him, and he made sure that everyone knew he was one of the smartest in the class. But when we got to high school, I really realized that something was wrong. There was a problem. And I think all of you might agree, or maybe agree, that if you look hard enough in your high school, you might be able to find every type of person out there in your school, or close to every person. So, in high school, I wouldn't say his problem worsened, but Oliver definitely became very proud, and he tried to make himself superior over everyone else. And, I guess other people, just like him, really fed that behavior, fed that pride, and he didn't feel that anything was wrong with that. So, for me, I didn't really want anything to do with a guy like him who was proud and arrogant. So I built a wall between my world and his and made a clear line and divided us two worlds. And I made a choice that day, without even trying to understand him, talking to him, or getting to know him. I judged him with the little knowledge I knew and pretty much separated our lives. And I guess it was okay for the first while, but without even me knowing it, I realized that I was starting to, badmouth him and gossip behind his back with my friends. And I didn't feel anything was wrong. Only after a few months, I realized that what I was doing was completely opposite of what I always tell others not to do. At school, I always tell others that hate is a really strong word, but I was pretty much spreading hate every day around the school about this guy named Oliver. And, I realized that I was being really two-faced. And, at church, I'm one person, and at school, I'm someone else, right, behind someone's back. So, I don't know, I felt really disappointed in myself, I would say. And, Hebrews 12 teaches us that for no one falls short of the grace of God, and we need to see to it that no bitter root grows to cause trouble, as it can defile many. So I guess for me, I've experienced that bitterness and hatred are kind of like weeds. No matter how hard you try to pull them out, they thrive in the most hardest conditions. So, I tried the best of my ability to get rid of it, or to just kind of feign ignorance to it, but that didn't end up the best way I could. And over time, I realized that I really couldn't do anything to make the situation better. So I guess at that point, I kind of reached my lowest point. I was nowhere where God wanted me to be. I was nowhere near living out Christ's light and what he did for me when I was younger. So I guess at that point, I kind of really experienced God's love for me and how he always chooses us and to love us despite how many times we fall flat on our faces. So, Proverbs 3:5-6 says that, oh shoot. Okay, blanking out. Okay, Proverbs pretty much tells us that we cannot lean on our own understanding to, do the way that we think thing is right. So if we acknowledge him in whatever we do, God will make sure that he makes our path straight. So basically at that point, that verse gave me a lot of encouragement, to pick myself up and for him to help me stand up back on my feet and go the right way. And I guess I could have chose the easy choice. Why should I choose to forgive him and accept him when he always pulls people down? Why should I pull him up positively and build him up? But God tells us that, we really need to love each other for who we are. I'm nowhere near perfect, and yet God sent his son to die for me just as much as he sent his son to die for my friend. So basically during that time, I decided to just lift my problems up to God and have him take me through. And, Ephesians 4 says that we need to be kind and compassionate to each other, and we need to forgive each other just as God forgave us and Jesus forgave us. So, it wasn't easy. Trying to love him and accept him and understand him was quite hard. It took a lot of heart, a lot of strength, and a lot of courage. But, God pulled me through. And, impossible is 2 letters too long for God. So I think just as I gave my problems up to him, our relationship got better. I found the courage to take the first step, to say hi to him in the hallway instead of completely ignoring him and ignoring his existence. Instead of spending time trying to spread bad things about him, I took the time to try to actually have a peaceful conversation with him without getting into a fight or an argument. And, just over a few months, our relationship got a lot better. I mean, he still looks at me awkwardly in the hallway, but that's just he's not used to it. But, life has become really easy at school, and I feel that life is better, and it's more enjoyable, I guess, when relationships between you and your classmates are better. And I think for me, to close off, I guess life is unpredictable in a sense, and there are lots of choices, there are lots of forks in the road. But as long as we enter the tunnel, and it may go back and forth and wind you through different places, but as long as we choose to go God's way and have him take us down the righteous path and choose the right way, he will take us out where the exit is and where the light is found.